When you think of the race finishes that make highlight reels, this is the place and the series that flashes in your mind. The Truck Series has banked a reputation on this track.
And where will they make the move? Under the lights at Atlanta Motor Speedway once again. When the Truck Series schedule comes out, everyone marks when we will be at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series American Commercial Lines 200 on speed. Hampton, Georgia, just a bit south of Atlanta. And it was a little bit rainy today, but now obviously we're ready to race. And this is one of those places where your anticipation just builds up to a crescendo. When they get ready to say those words, gentlemen, start your engines, you're ready for the green flag to fly.
We've been hearing about 5 wide, 5 lanes in the corners. How many times do you get to watch trucks run 5 wide, but they can do it here at Atlanta? Yep. When they get to the corner, you just simply go where the guy in front of you isn't. If he's low, you go high. I love this stuff.
We've had such great racing here because these guys are competitive. They don't play nice. They like to beat and bang, and they're going to be rubbing the wall. They're going to be down on the apron, as Michael said. They're going to be all over this racetrack. We have a great field of trucks here, and it's going to be a tremendously competitive race.
Now, when you talk about a great field of trucks, we've thrown out a bunch of names who we think are going to win, but why does like Todd Bodine have such success on mile-and-a-half racetracks?
As he said, he's got a great package, great aero package with that Lumber Liquidators Toyota. He's got a good engine program with TOD and Toyota, and he's got Mike Hillman Sr., the brains. That's Mike right there talking to Todd. He's standing in for his son, Mike Hillman Jr., who was suspended for something they had done prior to qualifying at Daytona. So a great package. They've won a lot of races together. Todd
Bodine starts 7th tonight. He'll have to get by Ron Hornaday and Chad McCumbee. They make up our front row. Let's go down for tonight's command.
And now for the delivery of those most famous words in motorsports, please welcome back the Vice President of Human Resources for American Commercial Lines, Shane Ingersoll.
Drivers, start your engines!
The trucks have come to life. They will be rolling out onto the racetrack, and we're about to get underway with the third race of the 2008 season. How long has been the weather? Will it hold off? Well, it's 63 degrees, it's cloudy, and the breeze is about 8 miles an hour, but there is no precipitation, and that is the great thing right now. Let's take a look at our Optima Batteries track description on this mile-and-a-half super speedway.
Great surface right there. See, 24 degrees in the corners. The straightaways are essentially flat. The front stretch over 2,300 feet. Backstretch 1,800 feet. And the key is, Michael, you can run anywhere you want on this racetrack.
You can look at all those numbers, and all I want to tell you is 5 wide is a possibility, and we're going to see people try to do that.
We want to look at our Castrol race analysis. 32 trucks starting this one. It's just over 200 miles, 130 laps.
These guys have a new engine package this year and a little bit and some aerodynamic changes as well, Phil. So this tire is very hard. We've seen tire wear be a factor here in Atlanta, but I don't think it's going to be this year. It's going to be more about getting some fresh tires on those trucks so they'll stick in those corners.
Yeah, and a little smaller fuel cell, so the pit window's a little bit earlier than it would have been last year.
See the field rolling around the racetrack now. Your starting grid's going to roll across the bottom of the screen. The American Commercial Lines 200. Ron Hornaday, his 15th career pole, and Chad McCumbee tying his best start ever in the Truck Series make up row 1. We want to take a look at a few other drivers. We're going to shine a spotlight on a few different drivers tonight, and that spotlight is going to move to the 46. Starting off is Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, if it's the speed spotlight, let's talk about Scott Speed. He makes his first ever NASCAR start tonight. You know, just about every young driver has a history in go-karts, but not many of them have a history in go-karts like this guy. His entire family is wrapped around go-kart racing, and because he was so good in go-karts, he got an opportunity to get into the Red Bull Challenge. He won that challenge and went to Formula One. This guy has traveled all around the world racing, and everybody I've talked to has said he can adapt to any kind of vehicle. We'll see how he does in the Craftsman Truck Series in his first start tonight at Atlanta. Adam?
And Jason White starts 31st tonight in the 08 truck, and it would be a special evening for him to have a good run. The reason why, gunbroker.com, the sponsor on the truck, is headquartered right here in Atlanta. They're celebrating their 9th anniversary this weekend, and recently they had their 1 millionth customer celebrated with their business. Jason White rolling off in the 31st position here tonight. Phil?
Adam, I want to take a look at Donnie Lee. That's him right there in that 71 Chevrolet truck. He is a reigning Whelen Modified champion from last year, won 6 times. See on the back, it says, "Say I won't beat MS." They're putting that on there, trying to raise awareness and raise some money for multiple sclerosis. They also have a little bit more incentive. One of their crew members, Scott Nesbitt, was taken from the racetrack at California Speedway a couple weeks ago and taken to the hospital. Actually had open heart surgery in California at Loma Linda Hospital, and they had to go back in and do a second open heart surgery. Right now he is on his way back from Michigan. Good news is he's doing great, and we'll be watching this race when he gets home in Michigan. So a lot of incentive for Donnie Leah and this entire TRG Chevrolet team. He starts 25th. Mikey.
Brian Scott starts 20th, Phil, in his Albertson Chevys. Let me throw a few numbers on you. You know what 9th plus 23rd equals? It equals the rookie point lead for this cat, but only by 1 point over 3 other drivers. Now, we all know how I struggle with numbers. I'm glad I got all that out for you. This is the same team that has won 2 championships, being led by Dave Fuge, who is the crew chief on this truck. So Brian is hoping that Dave can lead him to a victory tonight in Atlanta.
I was ready to jump in and lead you down the direction of 23 and 9 and adding all those numbers up, because I know how we've had fun with numbers up here. Let's head back down to pit road and Adam Alexander.
You know, Rick, Roush Fenway Racing has been amazing here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway over the years. In the Nextel Cup Series, now the Sprint Cup Series, 5 wins all time. What about the NASCAR Nationwide Series? 4 times they've gone to victory lane. But in 4 years of Truck Series racing at AMS, never has a Roush Fenway machine been able to visit Victory Circle. Could that change tonight? Well, time remains to be seen on that. But you can also say that this is only one of 3 tracks where this team has not experienced victory. We'll see if it changes here tonight, right?
Well, Adam, we've seen a lot of great finishes here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and folks, you've got to watch every lap of this race. When we come down to the finish of this event, count the last 12 laps and see if there's not a lead change there, because in every race that we've run here, there's been a lead change in the final 12 laps of this race, and 2 times here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's been after the white flag flies. We know there's some great finishes. Watch the finish line, but don't go away in those final 12 laps.
You won't want to leave. You won't want to even leave the couch for 1 minute while the racing is going on. We're going to ride along with a few different drivers. Travis Quappel, Johnny Benson, and Todd Bodine will all be carrying cameras tonight. So you'll have a great ride all the way around this 1.5 mile super speedway. It is Ron Hornaday bringing the field to the green flag. We are about to get underway, and it flies in the air. We're underway with race number 3.
Saw Chad McCumbee, that 8 truck, get a little bit looser. He spun the wheels. Ted Musgrave jumped by him on the inside.
He also jumped by him before they crossed the start-finish line. You're not supposed to pass before the start-finish line on the start of the race, the initial start of the race. But NASCAR will probably take into consideration that Chad McCumbee didn't get going. Ted had no choice. He had to dodge him, and dodging him was getting out of the way.
We're getting a report, Michael, that he's going to be black flagged for passing before the start. We saw Ted Musgrave lose a championship at Homestead a few years ago by passing before he got to the start-finish line.
Well, that was classic textbook. A guy just pulled over and passed him. If the 8 truck of McCumbee spun his tires, all Ted had to do was pull over. He didn't have to pass him. Ted chose to pass him, and he's going to have to come to pit road. Adam, what are they saying in the pit?
Well, Musgrave got the word from the spotter stand. They black flagged us, and he said, I had nowhere to go. Just as you alluded, Michael, he spun his tires. Now the team talking to the officials in the pit area, but it looks like to no avail. He will have to make the pass-through penalty, guys.
And we've talked about 5-wide racing and all the grooves here. This doesn't kill his evening. This is going to set him back for sure. But, you know, Ted made the move. He passed.
Right.
All he had to do is pull over and stop. Let's watch it again, Rick.
Take another look at this. This is the start of the race. Now, McCumbee has troubles in that 8. Right behind him is a 59.
There's no question, but as Michael said, Ted didn't have to go ahead and complete that pass. He could have pulled up beside him. They got to the start-finish line. You see the crew members, Danny Rollins, our crew chief, is pleading his case to the NASCAR official. But no decision yet, other than the fact that he has been black flagged.
Well, he's behind the 8 now. I mean, maybe he's saying, hey, I'll give him his position back.
A little bit late, I think, is what NASCAR will say about that. He needs to get the...
It's this time right here. This time for a pass-through.
He's going to have to do the pass-through. Now, while all of this was going on, it was Kyle Busch who jumped out to the lead early on. And here comes Ron Hornaday. Side by side, they go down the backstretch.
Ron Hornaday makes the move on the inside. Kyle's going to fight back on the outside. Look at Ron Hornaday below the white line.
Oh, and sideways is Kyle Busch as he works through 3 and 4, back out onto the front stretch. Here comes Ted Musgrave. He's making his way onto pit road. You see him off in the distance.
He will drive.
Pass through penalty. I'm sorry, Mike. And again, this is not going to ruin his night.
No, because he's got a fast truck. There's all kinds of room out here to pass. There's going to be differing pit strategies, what these guys are going to want to do on pit road because of the different fuel cell and the different engine combination that they got. So there's a lot of unanswered questions right now. Ted Musgrave will have to play a different strategy in order to try to rebound from this early penalty.
And the other thing he's obviously got, if he would go a lap down, which more than likely he will here very shortly, is he gets the Aaron's lucky dog.
Well, you can't beat that. Aaron just steps
Getting the lap back.
Aaron steps up to the plate and gives Ted a lap back. And I've said in the pre-race, Ted's got a truck that can win this race.
Right.
Now's an important time for him to relax, understand that he made a mistake. They paid the penalty for that mistake. Now we got to rebound. Let's see what we can make out of this night.
You see Ted come out right in front of our leader on Hornaday. Now, he does not need to push this issue right now. If he can stay in front of him, great. But if not, then he's going to be in perfect spot to get that Aaron's lucky dog.
We're seeing two different lines already here. Eric Darnell's going low. We see the 21 of John Wood go high. Earlier, we saw Ron Hornaday on the bottom of the racetrack. Kyle Busch up against the wall almost, as we've only completed 6 laps.
That's because the tires feel good for about a lap. After that, they start to slip and slide, and you've got to take your truck to different places on this racetrack in order to understand what you need to do to be competitive for the long haul. Maybe it's good on the bottom, but you need to go up top and fool around a little bit and see what you got in case things change down on the bottom.
This is a great battle right there. That is a battle for the 8th position. Eric Darnell, the 99, has it. John Wood is going to fight back on the inside in the 21 Ford.
Mike Skinner just behind this duo. The truck's beginning to line up now on the racetrack. We're seeing them spread out just a bit after that first big battle that took place early on. Down the backstretch, a little side-by-side racing. 21 of John Wood and Eric Darnell still side by side. Here comes the 5 of Mike Skinner. He makes it 3 wide.
Skinner got a nice toe there. Those trucks were side by side, punching a tremendously large hole in the air. Mike Skinner took advantage of that, passed them both.
The side by side racing also continuing with McCumbee and Ted Musgrave around this racetrack.
Yeah, Chad, I got all the way by Ted, just didn't quite clear him and got held up down on the bottom, and now they're trying to sort this out. Ted just needs to stay in touch with the leaders right now. That's what he's thinking.
Ray, at that start, were they talking about problems with McCumbee, or did he just miss the shift?
No, McCumbee said he couldn't do it any better than that. He said, guys, we have to work on our transmission stuff on this particular truck. He said, this is the second time we've run this truck, and I've had a problem with it. But he said, the driver can't do any better than that, so it must be a problem in the actual transmission of that 8 truck.
Here comes that 33 of Ron Hornaday, trying to battle back as Kyle Busch has grabbed the lead again.
Drove right around the top side of the racetrack. So I don't think he can get any higher than Kyle is right now. He's got the top staked out.
Here's another view right here. Look at the run he has on him. He goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Hornaday was up high. Kyle said, well, I'll do it on the bottom.
Now, Kyle had mentioned earlier about, hey, watch for the sparks and such.
Did you see him? We're 9 laps in, and he's still. Oh, look at that.
There's a slide in front.
There in front. You see him. He fixed it. Keep on digging, bud. Keep on digging.
That was Brian Scott, that Albertson Chevrolet you were telling us about. Here's another lead changer, fighting for the lead again.
Kyle Busch just in front of the 33 of Ron Hornaday. Hornaday looks to the inside. Let's see if he can make the move as Kyle Busch holds the momentum up high.
That truck is running awful low on the track field, low dynamically to the world, because you see it 10 laps into the race, it's still sparking. That means when those tires have low air pressure in it, it's really going to go crazy.
You know, he told us before the race that they needed to get some rounds in the front of that truck to get it up off the ground.
My crew's back at the hotel laughing at me, knowing that if I've got a car sparking, I'm happy, and I'm watching Kyle Busch drive away from him with his truck dragging the ground, Ray, and it looks good from up here.
Ray Dunlap.
Michael, it's so funny whenever you hear Kyle Busch on the radio. He's like, guys, I can't drive this thing. It's terrible. It's dragging all over the track. What am I going to do? We got to raise it up. But, boy, he looks fast.
Well, I saw things at Daytona that changed my whole opinion of that young man. He had a truck that it didn't look like anybody could drive, and he battled it all day long and ran second. I mean, we all know he's good, he's fast, but he put up with a truck that was horrible at Daytona and ran second.
It didn't look like Houdini could drive that truck.
He's awfully good, leading the Sprint Cup points, he's leading the Truck Series points, and he's leading this race here in Atlanta. Again, Kyle Busch has battled back and forth between the lead and second, and right now he's on the point.